Hi, this is Jayanto Chatterjee from IIT Kanpur, and over the next 8 weeks I am going to focus on and discuss with you interactively about managing services. What are services, how they were perceived earlier, how they are being perceived today, and in what way service business, service industry is transforming today, and therefore how most likely they will be perceived tomorrow, most likely they will be managed tomorrow. So, this yesterday, today and tomorrow of service management, services marketing, service operations, the role of people in services, these will be topics that we will be looking at. We will focus more and more on our contemporary research and how we understand today's paradigm of services and what are the new learnings that are leading us to higher level of performance in these kind of businesses. All these will be our course content, and most importantly we will discuss how service is changing not only within the boundary of the service businesses, but how service is bringing to us a new logic, a new philosophy for all businesses. As I have talked about that in the introduction video, we will expand more on that new emerging paradigm of the service logic, service philosophy of all businesses. Now, though today service has a very paramount, very prominent position in the economy, in the earlier years in 18th century it was not so. In the heydays, in the early days of industrial revolution and emergence of mass manufacturing, goods, newer and newer types of products dominated the thinking of economists, managers, business people. In those days, the action of serving, helping, benefiting, these were the usual connotations when we thought of service. A little later, as industries started evolving, as the economy started expanding, the industrial economy started expanding, there were more and more needs of additional inputs to make products or devices function better, function properly. And particularly when the technology content started increasing, the need of knowledge and expertise to operate, to use products started augmenting. We brought in things like acts, deeds, performances, efforts, but yet very distinctly these were considered different from goods, articles, objects. And in those days, I mean right from Adam Smith to today, services were considered to be a little inferior to goods. They were perishable, they were intangible and so on. So, like Adam Smith had talked about productive elements, which were actually the goods, objects, and in some way he connoted services as unproductive. But today the situation is different. As I will show you, services today dominate the GDP, the economic structure of most developed economies and even many emerging economies. So, today services are thought of as an act of co-creation. So, when we had the goods perspective dominating our business thinking, marketing thinking, we thought of marketing and the core of business as exchange of values. Somebody wanted something and somebody had something. So, providers and seekers exchanged values, and that was considered as the engine of business. But today, take for example this particular session which we are having, this particular topic on service management, where you and I, we are coming together, and you can immediately perceive that here a successful productive engagement will happen when you bring your expertise, your knowledge, and I bring my expertise, my knowledge, my understanding and my research, and you bring your attention and I bring my enthusiasm, you bring your attention and I bring my sharing, and these elements in a complex network over information and communication technology platforms are together co-creating new knowledge modules, possibilities, and for all we know, some of you may become tomorrow service entrepreneurs. So, there will be new streams of economic activities that will be generated from this somewhat intangible, knowledge intensive exchange, and more than exchange, co-creation that we are engaged in here through this course. And there are many services today, many economic activities where this providers and seekers coming together in a complex network, creating values together to solve problems, to meet individual and social needs, are giving a complete new meaning to the way service is perceived, and as I mentioned earlier, in the way all businesses are perceived today. One key element of service business is that in most service businesses, as opposed to your act of buying a soap, there is no transfer of ownership. If you look at a soap or a toothpaste, there is a continuous transfer of ownership from the manufacturer to the wholesaler, to the distributor, to the retailer, and finally to the consumer. Almost at every stage there is some kind of exchange of money and product, and the ownership gets transferred. But in service, there are number of occasions. For example, if you go to a movie show, or you switch on your light, you are using a productive package for a certain time, enjoying it, and you are bringing also maybe your friends, which enhances your enjoyment, maybe certain mental framework that you are bringing together, and therefore the movie or a music concert or an educational interaction. In all these cases, therefore, you are not looking for buying the movie hall. You do not bother about what are the infrastructure and investments in a power generation, transmission, distribution system when you switch on your light. You have no intention of buying movie projectors or the movie hall ambience, you use it for a certain time under certain contractual conditions, and this non transfer of ownership, which can be categorized in these 5 blocks that you see in front of you, and as you think about these you will see that more and more these will be the nature of most businesses. And as I mentioned in my introductory video, this is very important today, this creation of business paradigms where transfer of ownership is not needed, use and return, because otherwise we have an economy which relies on taking stuff, taking resources from nature, making things and transferring the ownership, and ultimately all that is creating a huge mountain of waste around the world. And really we do not know today, we often do not think about how critical this problem of continuous waste generation is becoming. So, thinking of all businesses as service, thinking of non transfer of ownership oriented co-creation of value by bringing temporarily resources together, expertise together, is a very important way of managing the economy that we have to understand in depth, and that is what we will do over number of modules over the next 8 weeks. Now, few important things and easily understood concepts I will introduce before I conclude this particular module, and that is on your screen right now, that almost everything in the world can be seen, as you see on the x axis we have intangibility. So, there is a low intangibility to high intangibility, and there as you can see that if you take salt, salt is highly tangible. There is, so that is at one end of this particular graph, which is adapted from Lynn Shostak's work research, and right at the other end we have this what we call internet banking or life insurance here. Now, an airline flight, as you can see, we are going from high tangibility to high intangibility. This is the spectrum of services, and most things today, most business engagements have both elements, tangible and intangible, in a kind of integral fashion, and that is why in this course we will often talk about product, service, tangible, intangible as a composite system for creating values and solutions. I will end today's this module with this particular slide, and I would like you to think about it, and this is where we will begin in the next module. Thank you.